If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
If it comes off demonic, that's what we are.
One thing is for sure, Satan sells. No matter how you slice it, it's not the heavy metal bands like Black Sabbath and Kiss that are losing money in the current record industry depression. In fact, some new groups seem to be picking up that satanic smell of success and following along in its path.
The Lords of the New Church can be taken obviously a variety of ways in terms of the title and what it might imply and what their name is. First of all, I question how many of these bands truly have a satanic motive, you know, and I think that what goes on with anything is that once the issue is brought up, people tend to try to look for those things, and they'll try to place it, and they'll say, aha, I see that that's implying some sort of a religious or satanic overtone.
I think that within the rock music field, you've got people who really are into the occult and into Satan. And then you've got some who probably are playing games. But no matter how you cut it, they're propagating Satan. They're propagating the demonic line, the occultic world. And I think it's a devastating thing on our culture.
I don't think there's anything too evil about it. I don't want to, you know, grow up and be some devil worshiper because I've only believed in music all my life.
As far as any message from Satan or the forces of evil are concerned, it's funny. I find it very amusing.
Is this a ridiculous notion, or is Satan rampant in rock? To some, the answer is obvious. Skull-headed monsters and demon-like figures are probably the most blatant. Then there is the upside-down cross, depicting a mockery of Jesus Christ. There is, of course, the sign of Satan. And there is the number 666, also known as the mark of the beast, the symbol belonging to the Antichrist, who, the Bible tells us, is Satan.
It's almost cute. It's almost in to be satanic. And I think that speaks of the culture abandoning its Christian roots.
But in May of 1982, teenagers of a congregation in Topeka, Kansas, destroyed thousands of dollars worth of records and tapes, which they felt contained the message of Satan. The Christian Concern sheds light on a more secular aspect of music listening. It's what you don't hear. Government investigation has found subliminal messages on certain albums when played in reverse. A bill now before Congress would require warning labels on those records containing backward masking.
And that way, young people that don't want this kind of material, whether it's political messages that Reagan is a great guy, or whether it has anything to do with Satan or Charlie Chan, they're not going to have to listen to it. Parents who go out to buy their kids the teeny boppers record albums during the Christmas period, they will see the warning label.
What I've done here is queued up this song. It's called Fire on High from the ELO Face the Music album.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have known about it. I mean, I've played this record a million times, and I've heard that, you know what tape sounds like when it's running backwards. I've heard that there's something in here backwards, but I've never felt moved to put it on tape and run it backwards and see what it says. Well, it's real easy, this particular record, to just take your hand and go like this, and we'll hear what it says.
The music is reversible, but time. Turn back.
The music is reversible, but time.
Turn back.
What does that mean?
I think it's a gimmick. I mean, it's not, it doesn't seem too diabolical to me. I think it's just a gimmick.
Gimmick? Maybe. Let's take a closer look at what some bands are really doing. You're listening to the #1 requested song of the last 10 years, a familiar song. Some believe it deserves a warning label. Why? Listen to the song backwards. It's called Stairway to Heaven.
I think just the very fact that this has gotten some attention may cause record groups to say, hey, rather than get hassled by the feds, let's do all this rotten satanic stuff forward.
People say it's Satanism. You can say we're a religion because when you have 5,000 kids all believing in this band, that is a religion. It is Satan carrying us further and further and further all the time. It's selling your soul. Nobody's going to stop us. We're going straight to the top. We're red hot.
I've discovered a new way to test if record will be hit or miss. I play record for typical American parent. If they like it, it's a miss. If they hate it, it's a hit. Now I play new electro record, Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue. Looks like we got big hit on our hands.
Get Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue. We know it's a hit. We've got technology on our side.
This is MTV Music News. Motley Crue has just finished work on a brand new Motley video. We were there and spoke to the band about it.
Looks That Kill, Motley Crue's new video, is staged in a futuristic heavy metal city, and MTV was there for the making of the clip. Group members Nikki Sixx and Vince Neil explain the concept.
It could be a city of the past, a city of the future. And what it is we are like the survivors of it, maybe a Holocaust, nuclear war, whatever. And there are these women who are running wild, and we're like the warriors here. And what happens is there is one woman who is like the goddess, the equivalent of us. And together, we all have the looks to kill.
Sixx elaborated on the message the group is trying to make through their music.
Everybody, us, and our audience, who we feel is the same, we have so much aggression in us. We're so young, and we have so much, power, energy in us. And instead of us going out and robbing liquor stores and beating up old ladies, we play rock and roll. And that's why we want the kids to come see us, because we're positive.
For Music Television, this is John Paoli in Los Angeles.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I've mentioned before in videos talking about backmasking, but I didn't have an actual video fully talking about it. I had just mentioned it in some video exposes that I did. So I wanted to put a video out there that's really important for people to know and understand, because people have heard of backmasking. Everybody's heard of Helter Skelter and how the Beatles used to backmask, but they don't understand how backmasking actually works and how it's related to the occult, and of course goes back to Aleister Crowley. Now, everybody remembers the satanic panic that occurred in the 80s, where the Satanists had to come up with this satanic panic to get people to stop looking into what was going on, because people were figuring things out. It wasn't just what was going on with McMartin and the pedophilia that was going on. Many people started figuring out what backmasking was. Now, when we listen to music, we hear it forwards, right? Our brain processes what it hears in forward motion. But what people don't know is that while your brain is processing what it hears in normal full motion, it's also deciphering what it's hearing backwards in the subconscious mind. This is how they subliminally plant seeds through backmasking. It's a technique where messages are intentionally placed inside of the music. Examples are obviously common ones like Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. And I'll play the clip here for you so you can hear the subliminal backmasking backwards, talking about hailing and worshiping Satan. Take a listen. Another example of this, and I can't show you the forward versus the backwards because of copyright reasons. The forward version they won't let me put in the video. But here's Jay-Z, clear as day, saying 666 murdered Jesus. Listen for yourself.
Murder, murder, Jesus. 666.
Now, of course, scientists and doctors, when asked about this stuff, would say, well, the brain does try to decipher messages in backwards motion in the subconscious, but it would never happen through music. It would never happen in songs by famous musicians. They wouldn't try to do that. So they say it's all part of a satanic panic, right? To get people off of the trail, off of the scent of what these people really are doing. But like I said earlier, this all goes back to that scumbag himself, that child molesting piece of trash, Aleister Crowley. Crowley would teach his followers as one of the most important, if not the most important law in Satanism, being the lesson of reversal. He would have his followers learn and practice with him doing things in reverse. Those who would want fame, power, spellcasting abilities, demons at their beck and call, and to recognize the Godhead within as well, to know the past, present, and future, must consistently, with intensity, practice talking reverse speech, walking backwards, thinking backwards, and playing phonographic records backwards. This is a form of divination. And as most of you know, divination is not allowed. It is forbid by God. What is divination? It's the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. That is what this practice is. In Deuteronomy 18:10, chapter 18, verse 10, there shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer. So, while I talk about the signs and the symbols, right, and how they have dual meanings, how they make the A-OK sign, right, but we know it's really the 666, and that's why they're doing it on these magazine covers. Not everybody's just going, hey, A-OK, right? You can also look for things that are done backwards. For example, Oprah Winfrey is a perfect example, right? What's the name of her studios? Harpo, H-A-R-P-O. Yes, I know people would instantly think of harp, but really it's her name backwards. Now we know Oprah is a Satanist, a high-ranking witch in the occult. That's why Oprah has this power that she has. I've done an exposed video on Oprah where she even slanders the name of Jesus Christ, our King. If you haven't seen that, you should check it out. But this is why it's important to know this stuff, because this is mind control techniques that are used that you would never think of, right? So while you're still thinking and you're watching stuff, and now you're trying to watch it in an awake state. For example, if you're putting on the news, you're trying to say, like I always tell everybody, what are they constantly saying? What's the agenda every channel's pushing? Because they're all pushing the same thing because they're using repetition. Now, this is a sneaky, subliminal way to program people. So they have Jay-Z doing that in reverse because those seeds are being planted in your subconscious mind. They're being stored away in your brain. And they've used this before for MK Ultra as a way of triggering people. So that's why certain songs would trigger these people to go and, snap into certain states, Manchurian candidates and whatnot. Because there'd be messaging in reverse that their brain was picking up on. So these are things that we don't learn in school, right? These are things that some doctors will admit and scientists and some won't. right? Just like we hear with the chemtrails and stuff. Scientists come forward, and then they get discredited for talking about the dangers and what's really in the chemtrails. And then they'll throw guys like Bill Nye, the science guy, out there to tell you that chemtrails are harmless, that global warming's a problem. And anyone that goes against those narratives is discredited as being a Looney Tune. Well, the fact of the matter is that most scientists will even admit that your brain does process things in reverse. And that's why it's such an important thing for the occult to backmask, because it's another way for them to subliminally plant seeds. Not only because the law of reversal that Aleister Crowley was so high on and taught all of his students and followers. We know, look, guys like Jay-Z are wearing shirts with Crowley on it that says, do what thou wilt. Do you think it's a coincidence that in his song he's saying 666 murdered Jesus? You think it just happened to play that way backwards? I mean, come on. You'll find this in a lot of songs. There's a lot of messaging. It won't just say stuff about worshiping Satan and killing Jesus. There'll be other messages in there that push agendas that we see. And that's why it's dangerous to listen to music. Not just because of the mind control you get from listening it normally, like putting in a CD or putting on your iPod, or listening to the radio in your car, right? And being brainwashed by these false idols like Katy Perry and all these people that they push, right? And all the songs kind of tell you frontwards the same stuff, right? They're speaking about love, but they're really talking about their love of Satan. They're showing you in the music videos the transhumanism agenda, the transgender agenda. But nobody realizes that these songs in reverse are just as dangerous to you. So if you are watching it on a conscious level, trying to decipher what you're seeing, you have to remember that they're also programming you the other way, where you wouldn't even realize it. It could switch a mood in you quick. It could make you feel something you don't normally feel because you're hearing a message that you don't know what you're hearing, but your brain is deciphering it. It's decoding it. And then it's planting it in your subconscious mind. And again, like all of these things, what does it go back to? It goes back to Crowley. So you'll see production companies with names like that. You'll say, where Oprah come up with Harpa? Oh, it's her name backwards. How clever. Well, that's just her using the law of reversals, right? Because they believe that they gain more power. It enhances their craft. It enhances their fame, their wealth, and all of this stuff by practicing this. And they're practicing divination, which is forbidden by God. It is forbidden by our Father. And remember, they do all of this stuff to mock. They do all of this stuff in reverse. They read the Bible in reverse. When they have these black masses, they do it in reverse. They'll read scripture backwards and blaspheme God. And this all goes back to the same guy that they pretend, that nobody will talk about. When Satanists mention him, they go, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's not a coincidence that Jimmy Page bought his house and, you got all these guys still worshiping him and talking about him, but nobody brings up the black magic and how he talks about blood sacrifice being the most important, that specifically of a child. I mean, these people are sick. So, again, remember this when it comes to backmasking. Remember that Britney Spears, all of these artists that have come through have used backmasking as a technique to plant seeds in your subconscious mind for mind control. And people say, well, how do you prevent that? Well, you prevent it by not listening to it. And I know it's easier said than done. I mean, you go to the grocery store, they got the music blasting. You go, places that you actually, might have to go to get something or do something. I mean, you go get gas at the gas station, they got TVs on the pumps now playing music. So they're trying to get us programmed around the clock with this stuff. And they know that they can use things through backmasking to plant seeds in our minds as well. I hope this information you found useful. I thought it was important to just have a video out there about backmasking and the dangers of it. I thank you all for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.